Now we are ready to do the final shape. So in my process, I actually will also make the blank at this point. That just is a natural sequence. So the profile's been finished. I'm going to just drop it in the water for a second. While it's in there, I'm going to straighten and cut 3 pieces of wire. I use 21 gauge. It suits my, well, I think even people with narrow shapes will use 21 sometimes, but I feel it suits my wider shaped reeds. And try not to cut these excessively long, because wire is expensive. I'm using a duck-billed ancient, I guess now vintage pliers, and I don't press too hard. I just use them to smooth the wire out, taking out any kinks. Good. And as always, I don't really like to soak the cane for too long, so I take it out, and the next step is to score the tube section, and I lightly score from the first wire mark to the butt, just really going the depth of the bark. There are a million styles of scoring. You could do whatever one you want. Sometimes I score after I finish the shape, just because obviously it makes the tube section a little bit fragile. But if I practice using a light touch, I'll be fine. I just have to get a piece of, I broke off the tip of my X-Acto. I'm just going to fix that. And we're back. Yeah, when I put a new X-Acto blade in, it sometimes snaps off when I do this part. I don't like working with a little sharp piece of metal stuck in the cane. Great. Put that aside. And I'll double, my center mark is still there. If I turn it away from the light, you can probably see it right there. But I'm just going to double check that I didn't make a mistake that first time around. Oops. And there's my pencil. Can you see? And then I set my straight Landwell blade. It's a lovely thin, but not razor thin, double ground, so it's a good surface to bend the cane against. And so, as you noticed previously, I made no effort whatsoever to measure or create symmetry. I just kind of worked. I didn't really think about it at all, and it is remarkably symmetrical. Of course, the shape is fatter than I want, which is also exactly what I want. And when I look straight on at the tip, I can see if my profile is good or if it's slightly crappy. I think it's okay. We'll find out when we clip the tip. So now I have to put my light up a bit, because even though it's too bright on your screen, a little hard to see in this room. And I almost got the ends perfect. It's just a micromillimeter too short. Take it down. That's better. Shape. The colors match now. The shape matches a little less well. Doesn't matter. We're going to fix it. So at this point, this resembles your reed. And when I'm looking at it, the tip is slightly wide. It's slightly wide in here. Collar is slightly wide. And the butt is wide. I find it helpful in my world to just check the butt. And it's right now at about 12 millimeters. And I will take it down to a millimeter. I mean, a centimeter. But I'm not thinking about that. I'll just check it later. Okay, I have to pause and make sure you can see this. So now I just slim down the shape a little bit. As in all the operations with the knife, I keep it at 90 degrees to the cane. When I come to the tube section, I go straight back. And I find it helpful to not work too long on one side, but just to keep bringing the whole shape in. It's quite dark in here because it's nighttime. I like working in the day, but I was just experimenting to see if, as I said earlier, if we can get better exposure at night for the camera. Oops. Digging in a little bit too much there. If you find you make a little gouge, just walk away from it and blend it in from further back. Never force the cut. Both for safety and for accuracy. So I just need to use my nail file a little bit to catch a couple of dings. Just have to find my nail file. There it is. Can you see that? It's so bright. Once I finish filing it, I'm going to measure it just because it's a little dark. I know it's deceptively bright looking on the screen, but I'm struggling to see a little bit. And that's when a measurement can help. I could change that by, I'll see if it works. I'll turn the light right on. Yeah, that's not good for the picture. So it's easy enough to work at night with a light. I just have to check this. It's still too wide. And check the tip. That's actually quite close. So I'll put this up again so that you can see. Yeah, it's important that the butt not be too wide, and it's at 11 and just over 11 millimeters. And I'm going to take it down another millimeter, but I just have to blend it all in. And work to get the shape a little bit more symmetrical. So this side is flaring out a bit. This side's a bit thick. So I'm going to take this side in for starters. Let me see if there's any way I can put that light so it helps me but doesn't mess up the... Did I put it straight up in the air? Would that help? Even when conditions aren't ideal, like right now it's a tiny bit hard to see, just take your time It'll always be fine. I'm going to pause for a second and shine the light right on this to make sure I've got the right shape. I shall be right back. There. Yeah, it helped. I just really had to shine the light right on it so I could see what I was doing. Important to be able to see. Well, I've been tempted to try and do this with my eyes closed one day. I'm kind of not sure I want to do that. Again, you can feel the shape, and your fingers can tell you pretty accurately what's happening. So in this case, it's pretty good, but right here, it's a bit thick on this side. I'll take that in a bit more. That's better. Give it a sanding. It's really good. Just, I think the butt's a tiny bit wider than, yeah, it's a bit wider. So I think I'll sand it down a little bit more. Or maybe just take a micro filament off the side. Kind of wishing I'd put a new blade on. Give it a sanding. Hang on. Just a little bit hard to see. Give it a sanding. And then I'm going to take the liberty of shining the light right on it. Sorry, it's going to wipe out the screen for a second. Do another, I'll move that up. Do another check. Whoa, there goes my easel. They don't break. Knock on wood. Okay, this one's just slightly over 1 millimeter. I'm going to just go with that. So, there it is. Freehand shaped and profiled. Wish it were a little bit easier to see. And I'm going to pause the video. When we come back, I will make the blank, and then we can clip the tip and assess my profile.